Most enterprises choose co-location with third-party data center providers as it gives them greater agility when it comes to their IT infrastructure. Issues of sustainability are also becoming ever more crucial for all stakeholders in the data center industry. Hello, my name is Rahiel Nasir and I'm a research analyst with S&P Global Market Intelligence covering the data center infrastructure and services markets across Europe. And to find out more about why businesses use data centers, I'm joined now by Jon Gravråk, CEO of Bulk Infrastructure.
Hello, Rahiel, and nice to be here. Thanks a lot for having me.
Jon, what are you seeing as the key drivers for customers looking at data center service providers, particularly across your home region in the Nordics?
Generally, the demand being very high and growing. So it's obviously from our home customers that are moving away from on-prem solutions to data centers, but more importantly, we see a demand from international and European-based companies. And I think the key trend shift here is that customers are now splitting up workloads, putting the ones with a critical, that need to be close to the eyeballs. They put that in the big European cities, but the bigger loads that don't necessarily need to be close to the eyeballs, they're looking for total cost of ownership, they're looking for sustainable solutions and so forth. And that quickly makes the Nordic region very attractive for these loads. That's the main trend these days.
You were talking about, I think, latency, and one of the key points here is connectivity. And we've seen in recent years greater subsea connectivity coming into the Nordics region. And that, of course, has to be allied to terrestrial connectivity as well. So has there been a boost in connectivity across the region?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Bulk Infrastructure, my company, has been a key part of that. So we have, for example, invested into a new transatlantic system called Havfrue, which comes from New Jersey and it branches out to Dublin, but the main trunk ends up in the west coast of Denmark, and it has a branch off also directly into Norway. So that's a completely new system, adding a lot of capacity into the region. Additionally, there's being built new subsea cables directly from Norway to the UK. It's being built directly from Norway to Denmark. There's new systems coming in from Denmark down to Amsterdam and so forth. So the connectivity is definitely, coming in place. And I think for all of the big data center hubs in the Nordics now, you can have quadruple redundancy on your fiber routing into that location. So it should be supporting any industrial need that you'll find.
And so do you think customers are going to look for connectivity and interconnectivity solutions from data center providers?
We believe so. Coming from the Nordics, where perhaps connectivity has been a challenge before, we definitely saw a synergy in between offering data center services as well as connectivity. And we believe it's the same customers, so we meet them perhaps a bit earlier in the process working with connectivity, but of course we still need to fight for getting the data center opportunities our way.
Jon, I wondered if you could tell us a bit more about who your customers actually are. Earlier on you were talking about regional customers, international customers. Do you think it would be fair to say that there are different needs according to the type of customer? How do you go about matching the right solutions and services to the right user?
There's different types of needs even within the same customer or contract, if you like. So also our portfolio of data centers is established to cater a bit for this. So for example, we have one data center in Oslo, the capital of Norway, which is in practice where the international fiber systems terminate in Oslo. It's a very attractive place for traffic exchange and for popping various services. So that has one type of value proposition. Then I think we have the more fundamental Nordic value proposition, if you like, at the southern tip of Norway, closest to the European continent. There we have an amazing scalability around our data center campus. It can scale to more than a gigawatt of redundant power supply, all renewable power. It's got 12 independent high voltage feeds, which caters for a robust operation and an extreme uptime, and there you can provide customers with the absolute lowest total cost of ownership you can find in Europe, the lowest power price around as well, and you can provide the customers with enormous flexibility to scale into the future, and it's 100% green excess energy being used. So that's different value proposition for scale. So I think we try to cater to these different needs within our portfolio, and increasingly we see customers having all of those needs, if you like.
But clearly it's not coming up with a single size solution that fits all. And then of course your solutions have to address wider industry concerns, don't they, over environmental, social and governance, ESG issues. And over the next couple of years, what impact do you think all this is going to have, not only on the data center providers, but also on customers considering their digital service options?
I think sustainability will be, more and more important. We've seen it for some time, of course, but I think the consumers are now becoming much more diligent in their choices, and they will be so also for digital services. So I think you have to be able to tell a fact-based story that your digital products and your digital operations are truly sustainable. I think the great thing about data and data operations is that they can pretty much be put wherever you want them. There's no physical goods that needs to be transported, and you need to think about the logistics in that way. You can build fiber cables and you can sort of build a global architecture on production that is clever. And in my opinion, that means putting the data operations very close to the excess renewable energy, where you can use that energy without stealing it, quote unquote, from other parts of the population or the market. So that I think is step one. And then obviously you need, as an industry, we need to work on the power usage efficiency of our data centers, and we need to work on the use of excess heat and so forth. I think we're all doing that, but as an industry, I think we need to improve a lot in the way we talk about this and in the way we make our climate footprint transparent to the public. We need to have good standardized baselines in place, and we need to show fact-based how we work on improving our footprint and over time become a more and more sustainable industry, because that's what is required as a license to operate, I think, for all industries going forward.
And we've seen it becoming so much of a challenge, haven't we, Jon? For instance, I think you mentioned PUE, power usage effectiveness, and we've seen in Amsterdam, which is one of Europe's busiest data center markets, we've seen how the authorities there have actually mandated specific values for PUE following the moratorium there. And then also currently in Frankfurt, there's talk about controlling the waste heat and what can be done with that waste heat that data center providers generate. And I think there may be more municipal intervention to what the data center providers over there can and can't do. And none of that is something that data center providers can do in isolation, right? They need to work with all stakeholders and various elements of society. So do you think that's going to get more prominent in the Nordics region?
I think we're already there. I think the benefit of the Nordic region is that we have perhaps started our industrial journey as a data center industry a bit later, but also means that we have already in place more modern solutions, and we're also piggybacking on, of course, availability of renewable power, but also the cold climate, which by default makes you run data centers at the lower PUE. So I think we're already at the forefront, but we're continuing to push. We want to and we need to be at the leading edge of running sustainable data centers. That's our key value proposition to the international market. And I think as an industry in this region, we're all very committed to doing exactly that.
So ultimately, Jon, it's all about, as you mentioned, using resources more efficiently, greater transparency and reporting, and then better choice for customers. Well, sadly, we're out of time now, so my thanks to you, Jon, for sharing your views with us.
Thanks a lot for having me, and if anyone wants to connect after listening to this, please look me up on LinkedIn. Very happy to have a chat there as well.
And to find out more about our research and analysis, please visit 451research.com. Thanks and goodbye for now.